Here at Track and Field, Coach Sean McMahon. Coach, season begins on Friday. You've got your first official meet up in St. Paul at the Tommy Showcase. Let's talk a little bit about the season ahead. You know, I know when we get to these interviews later on in the season, we're going to be saying a lot of names that maybe aren't quite as familiar as last year when you had Andrew Brigham and you had Sarah Harson. A lot of new faces this year that kind of have to come out into the spotlight now that some of the bigger names are gone and graduated.
Yeah, I think as you and I have talked leading up to this sort of beginning to the season, we're replacing kids every year. That's the nature of college sports, and unfortunately we have to replace some really significant people. I'm going to call Andrew one of the best throwers this conference has ever seen. He's the record holder in the weight and the hammer. So replacing them is kind of a relative term because you're constantly bringing kids up, and there's always freshmen who are going to become better as sophomores, and sophomores that grow too. So there are definitely a couple people that want to step right in. I know, I'm thinking of the throwers right away. I know Cassandra Burtis is our senior. She wants to step right into Sarah Harstad's role in that weight throw and be competitive in the hammer. And I firmly believe that she's had a great off season. We also have Coco Booker, who had a great fall of training and lifting, and they're going to try and fill in. And the part about Andrew, I think his example was really good. And right now I've got two young freshman throwers and a sophomore thrower who really I think are ready to pick it up and follow at least in his example, if not follow him into the record books.
And you look at your distance runners that you have on both the men's and the women's side. Both of them had very solid cross-country seasons, and I think a lot of those individuals are coming into the track season now with some high expectations and maybe higher than they have in the past.
Yeah, and I've mentioned that to our team, is that it's time to start asking more. It's time to expect more. We had the best conference finish in our school's history on the men's side of cross-country this year, and that's because there's some great individuals. Those guys are older now, but I think of that group with Peter Borash, Jake Traxler. Those guys are juniors in that kind of middle distance mile section. And we've got seniors in David Feather and Robbie McGuire who have been very, very strong runners throughout their career, and it's time for them to sort of jump to the front of the line.
On the women's side, you got a couple of younger people, distance-wise, middle distance-wise, that really had strong cross-country seasons and seem to be kind of the leaders of the women's distance area in Amy Spitzmuller and some of those guys. Talk a little bit about on the women's side what we can look for there.
Sure, it's a small group at the top of the class. I guess Regina Quant is going to be kind of our lone distance runner, but she's a great leader for that group. She's kind of middle distance up to mile. But again, a conference point getter for us, I hope, this year. And leading the way for, you mentioned Amy Spitzmuller, I'd throw Katie Stoles in there. And then we've got a girl coming off of soccer named Bethany Schmidt, who is really, really a talented runner and looks great early this year, where last year she came in not ready to run.
Talk a little bit now. Obviously, you begin on Friday up in St. Paul at the Tommy Showcase. What do you expect from this meet, and what can we expect from the Cardinals?
I talk a lot about preparation and just being race ready. The nature of our sport is kind of strange in individual sports, especially because we build up towards the end of their season. We don't have to win our first basketball game. We don't have to win our first soccer game. We can use the season because the way we train is to get good at the end when it's most important. So what I focus on is what they're doing and really maybe making their goals achievable in steps. So I know they've got a goal for the end of the season, but what are you going to do today? Well, how fast do you want to run? But maybe have more of a tactical goal that you want to execute. I want to get out in the first portion of the race fast. Maybe I want to finish. Maybe you have something that's more specific to your event that you're going to focus on that doesn't have a number tag to it.
Season kicks off Friday night up in St. Paul at the Tommy Showcase. Good luck, Coach.
Thanks.